managed to get them into the prison, but they are innocent. In fact, there are people who, when they get arrested, they go to the first court date and they are remanded, and that becomes the end of them. In my LLB studies, I did a project and I called it the phenomenon of remandees.
They are packed like sardines when they have to sleep, and are on 1 cedi 80 pesos. That's how much they're fed on per person on a daily basis. So today, this morning on Love in the Morning, we want to take a trip to our prisons and show more, show you more of the conditions and the state under which they find themselves in. And Samson Laddy Anyenini of Newsfile fame wants us to follow him to the prisons because he's embarked on the project to put smiles on their faces, if not later, now, because it's Christmas and they ought to also enjoy the festive season. That is not all he intends to do. He also intends to help people who have been on remand for God knows how long. Their cases have not been heard and they are languishing in there in prison. And so it is our prayer that you would support us. And when I say us, myself, Samson Laddy Anyenini, the multimedia group, each and every one of you who have made up his or her mind to support this genuine project and cause. So at least we help the ladies and the gentlemen in our prisons. So first of all, if you want to support us, I want you to say that you want to support us and send us a voice note to 055-1111-995. Just commit to this project that you pledge to support. All right? Aside from that, if you have any issue, you want some legal education, some legal advice, something that is happening to you, maybe it has to do with land issue, it has to do with marital issue, it has to do with anything at all, even at your workplace, something that you want some legal education or advice on, ask those questions and get advice. All right? And guess what? I have Samson Laddy Anyenini with me in the Cities of Love 99.5. Charlie, good morning.
Good morning. It looks bigger, it looks better, it looks nicer. And as you played some of the jingles, it took my mind way back those years.
And indeed, it's good to see you again. I was watching you on television on Saturday. I told you a while ago,
right,
about the gray hair, where you were engaging with Yababi Samoa, and he mentioned that Charlie, you're having more gray.
So everybody talks about my gray hair, but there's a secret to it.
Okay,
so you're surprised.
Share the secret.
There's a secret to it because my big brother is here in Kumasi, Joseph, and sometimes he calls me. He's like, Charlie, I'm looking at you. What's it? Because my big brother is more than 5 years older than me, and he doesn't have gray.
Okay.
So he keeps asking me, where is this from? No, young man, take it easy. Slow down. So the truth is that I've had the gray for a long time.
That's why you've been shaving bald.
Except that I wasn't keeping my hair.
You're shaving bald. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's a secret to it.
That's right.
But either way suits you, whether bald or with hair on. You look good. You look Samson Laddy Anyenini.
Well, I've heard rumors, very nice, joking rumors. People who are very unserious about life. They say, "Oh, he's gone to get some medicine to get his hair." I'm like, okay. You were not with me when I was at KNUST Faculty of Law, when I was here at Love FM. Well, if you could ask David Akuetteh and the rest of them, I used to carry hair. I used to try to keep an afro.
Yeah, I recall.
Yeah.
Good to see you. How's the family doing, by the way?
We are good by grace.
We thank God.
We are good.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Good to see you again.
I am happy to see you guys.
And we were talking about people sending us voice notes and asking for advice on legal issues. Because listen, if you don't have the right representation or the right advice, it can land you in prison or in trouble.
Great.
So if you have any question, any advice that you're looking for, something is happening in your life, you're wondering what to do about it, who to even contact. Listen, Samson is here and he's got all the answers for you. All you need to do is send us your voice notes with your consent.
We're doing a free legal clinic as we ask you to donate for Follow Me to the Prisons. And of course, we also will be joined by other of my friends.
Yeah, Martin Pobu, for example, will be joining us via Zoom shortly.
That's right.
So drop your questions on our WhatsApp line, 055-1111-995. Any legal advice or education you're seeking, they'll give you their responses. But tell us about this follow me to the prisons, and I mean follow you, Samson Laddy, to the prisons.
That's right.
What birthed this?
Okay. So first of all, I like viewers and listeners to take down this Momo number, and the merchant's name is Multimedia Group, into bracket Joy Easter Soup Kitchen. That's the merchant name, Multimedia Group, Joy Easter Soup Kitchen. And the Momo number is 059 303 8768. I take it again, 059 303 8768. And as we talk, I want you to try save your change for us for the purposes of changing the prisons.
I like the way you put it. And presently, listen, join us on Facebook.
Right.
Get to appreciate the conditions under which these inmates, these prisoners.
You're playing those videos?
No, it's to your right. Check to your right. Check to your right.
Oh, I see.
So join us on Facebook right now. Get to see things for yourself, and you appreciate the situation under which some of these inmates find themselves. And the unfortunate thing is that something will tell you later that some of them in there are innocent people.
That's right.
Some of them in there are just there on remand, and their remand warrants has expired.
That's right.
And they're still in there. Doing what?
Yeah.
And yet we say we have laws in this country?
Yeah.
Let's take it from the top, Samson.
Right. So, like you said earlier, I think these are situations that we all know. And when Jesus Christ said that he was in the prisons and we didn't visit him, this is part of what he meant. You see, our Constitution in Article 19 says that we are all innocent, even when we have been suspected and accused of any crime, until we have admitted ourselves that we're guilty, or a court of competent jurisdiction, not a radio station, and not a group of people sitting somewhere saying once somebody is guilty, or a police officer saying you are guilty. No, until you yourself have admitted to your guilt, or you have the court has found you guilty, and all this must happen in the courtroom. Now, once you're arrested, you become a potential jail person. In fact, even whilst you are not arrested, the potential that you could be a candidate for the prisons is there. And don't get me wrong, because it may not take you committing a crime. You say, I am not involved in any crime. So what do you mean by all of us are potential people who might find ourselves in jail? Okay, so you may commit a traffic offense, and it can be unintentional. In fact, traffic offenses are not intentional. You don't plan to hit and kill someone. Of course, they may be, one out of whatever, for whatever
maybe you just want to jump a red light because you're in a hurry, and unfortunately somebody is crossing.
Exactly.
And then bang.
And that is also committing a crime, so to speak. It's an offense. We're in COVID. The COVID rules by the present EI 223 say that we should continue to wear our mask everywhere we are. The fact that it is not being enforced in the manner we expect doesn't mean that you may not be found guilty. You may not be caught. So you could be caught, and guess what? If you are caught, for example, for just not wearing a mask, I said just, well, it can save your life. So it's important. For not wearing a mask, if you are found guilty, the minimum fine you have to pay is 12,000 Ghana cedis, and the maximum is 60,000 Ghana cedis. So between 12 to 60,000, that's how much you're going to pay. There are people who can't afford that much. They can't even afford 1,000 cedis, 500 cedis. Sincerely, they can't. If you call on their families, they will not get that money. Now, if they default in paying, they could go to jail for between 5 to 10 years. Why should somebody languish in jail because of that? Of course, it's a public health issue. Well, they haven't really committed a crime, so to speak, but they find themselves there. So these are some of the circumstances that one could find themselves in. And again, you could simply be accused of an offense. You are a suspect. You are presented before a court. The process is slow. So you plead not guilty, and the court doesn't think you deserve bail. And then you are put on remand. Sometimes people forget to go for the people who have been put on remand, so they appear in court the next time.
How does that happen? How do you forget
And they
this?
forget that forever.
How do they forget?
I don't know how it happens. So we are hoping that we could build a database in a way that it is easy to track these situations, so that those who need help, because some of them, they are taken to court, immediately they are arrested, and they are not even told what is known as their Miranda rights. The fact that they have a right to a lawyer, they have a right to be silent, and that anything they say will be used against them, and a lawyer of their own choosing. Sometimes they want to even hold their phone or make a call, and some ignorant police officer, excuse me to say, says you can't use your phone. In fact, they may seize your phone.
But you have a right to make a call.
Exactly.
When you are arrested.
Unless the phone is evidence of a crime you are suspected of committing, a police officer has no right tampering with your phone and collecting it from you.
Another free education.
So these things happen, and people are sent to court. They have no representation. There's nobody by them. And they don't even know what to say, because our court environment can be intimidating. And sometimes they are going, and some police officer is telling them, when you get there, you know what, to make things very simple for you, tell the court you are guilty.
Plead guilty.
Yes. We have many of these cases that we have gone to court and overturned. Say you are guilty. And they go say, if you don't say you are guilty, you are in trouble. The judge will deal with you. But why? And they go.
And this happens without you having a representation, right?
Exactly. And all these things happen. So you have people in the prisons who shouldn't be there. You have people in the prisons who are actually innocent. There's a story of somebody that Seth and myself were discussing, and you know Seth Kamboating has gone to the prisons many times.
And talking about him having been there many times, one of the documentaries he's worked on is what we're showing you on Facebook right now. You can find us on LUV 99.5 FM.
People will be familiar with Locked and Forgotten.
Most definitely.
After Seth did that story, it led to a lot of improvement in the prisons. Justice George Wood, then the Chief Justice, together with the prisons boss at the time, the police, and several other stakeholders came together. They actually showed the documentary in front of judges to watch and to understand why sometimes these small petty offenses, somebody little squabble and fight in the home, leads to something, and then people are brought. There's no point putting them, in jail. There's no point remanding them, and so on and so forth. Where a fine can do, they should give fines, but sometimes custodial sentences, and they go and languish.
And if I may, just let me just announce the Momo number again,
right?
Because we're here to get the support of many,
right?
And so the Momo number is 059 303 8768.
That's right.
059 303 8768. Samson says we
the
should follow him.
name is Multimedia Group.
The Easter Soup Kitchen.
Easter Soup Kitchen. Joy Easter Soup Kitchen.
Samson says we should follow him to the prison. I mean, that's literally speaking. We're not following him, working with him in there.
But your donation, with your money,
your donation is going to help us. And you'll be hearing much more from us.
That's right.
Stay with us on Facebook and drop comments. And if you support this project that Samson and his friend like Martin people have embarked on, let's all do this together. See how people have been put together, and that's how the condition that they sleep.
So you see this set of guys, they call them pickup.
Right, so go check out the pickup people.
Okay. So the pickup is to say that they are sitting throughout the night because there's no space, they can't sleep, and they are sitting packed by each other. You can't even turn. That's pickup. And there are the other ones that you see them sleeping flat and they can't turn. That's a sardine. That's what goes on there. Look, we are not saying that there are not people in prison who don't deserve to be there. There are some people who are very wicked. There are people that a lot has not changed them, and they are in prison. They ought to be there. But David, the part of the punishment for your crime, getting you to starve is not part of it. Starving you, being in insanitary conditions, not getting soap to wash, taking 1 cedi, 80 pesos a day, adults, 1 cedi, 80 pesos a day. It's not part of it. Now, you see as they show, you see the soup. It's not soup.
So, Joel, let's go back to the. Okay, so that's it. That's
Yes.
it. This is how they feed.
Yes.
And you're saying that per each person,
Yes.
the whole day,
Yes.
they're supposed to be
That's the
fed
rate.
under 1 cedi 80 pesos.
pesos.
Now, one big bottle of water,
Big bottle.
one bottle outside, it's like 2 cedis, 3 cedis.
That's right.
And this one
Yeah.
is less than what they are supposed to feed on a day.
So they are surviving on magic.
Wow.
Okay, of course they do
A bowl of kinky
bits of
a bowl of
farming and the rest
a
of
bowl of
them.
kinky,
Yeah.
3 cedis, 4 cedis, even some people say 5 cedis.
The prisons where they can afford, where there's land, and few people also find time to assist once in a while. So you see the soup. That's the point. That's the soup. You see that it's a whole container full of water, and they get a bit of palm nuts and pour it in. And then they find a lot more of palm nut oil and pour it on the water so that it gives it a semblance and some taste of soup.
Jesus Christ.
Yes. You see how they were making the gari? Okay, right, that's it. You see them pouring the...
And we're referring to videos on Facebook, so please join us on Facebook. Please do. And this is porridge.
Yeah. This is porridge. Water. That's not porridge. That's like tea.
Colored tea, yeah?
That's like white tea. And that's porridge. So I'm saying to herald a prisons project that I'm embarking on, like David had mentioned to you earlier, to try to assist where it is possible people who genuinely deserve some representation and deserve some help, to reach out to them. There is also some project that the prisons service itself is seeking to do, and I'm partnering them on it. Soon we will announce all of that.
Okay.
But for this Christmas, I say let's go there.
Let's go. So
follow me there. Let's get them some smiles on their faces. Let's make them feel they have eaten for a day. Let's get them to choose some chicken.
Some matting.
Yeah.
But once you are incarcerated, thrown into prison, you still have your human dignity.
That's right.
You still have your human standards, rights that has to be observed and respected.
The Constitution in Article 15 says that you should not be subjected to degrading or inhuman, treatment, or anything that is likely to detract from your worth as a human being.
But that's exactly what they are not getting.
That's it.
Why is the state not doing better than it is doing now?
Yeah, so part of the advocacy, the 1 cedi 80 pesos, and that was an increase about 12 or 10 years ago. It was far less. About 10 years ago. So that's how they are surviving on. So it's just not right. I believe that the overriding purpose of putting people in prison is for punishment for reformation, so that they will change. When they come back, we should be able to embrace them. We should feel that they are no more, as it were, liability to us, and that if the person was in fact a criminal, they would have changed and not go back to the crime. But how do you change a hungry person? So love changes. Let's show them love on this Christmas.
And you know what? You talked about the fact that the sanitary conditions under which they live is again very appalling.
That's right.
And my concern, something again has to do with, especially even the females, the women. And they have a monthly cycle. And so I don't know how they're able to keep themselves, how they're able to do what they have to do in that time of the month.
Fact is, the women across the country in the prisons, the women are fewer and they are extremely decent in the places they find themselves. They have the opportunity of bunk beds.
Okay.
So you get to their place and it's squeaky clean.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Good to hear.
But they must feed well.
Yes, definitely they must feed well. But the question is, somebody might be listening and ask the question: why should I care? Why should I bother?
You should care because, number one, we are products of the love of God, and so we must show love. If you're a Christian, if you're a Muslim, I believe that somewhere in your scriptures you will find that this is what we ought to be doing. The fact that it is the sin that we hate, not the individual. It's like we talk about the call it the LGBT community advocacy thing. It's the sin that you hate, not the individual, not the person. And again, our collective security as a society depends on what we do to the people who find themselves in these prisons. Because if they do not transform and change and come out worse off, we are not secured. And more importantly, we are all potentially, we may find ourselves within the walls of the prison, either as people who are on remandees, or something has happened and we've been convicted. And there are situations where people have been convicted, and the truth is that, you see, the court doesn't, let me be controversial about this, but it's the truth. The court doesn't deal with the truth. You say, oh, the court has dealt with this matter, this is the truth. No, it is not. The court deals with facts as have been put before it, and testimonies of people who have come. So there are people who have been framed up. There's a gentleman I was talking about that myself and Seth have been talking about. He was accused of rape. Guess what? He was nowhere close to that alleged rape. He has secured his freedom. He lives in that same community where this girl is. Can you imagine his thinking? Particularly if he doesn't have any job. He's been robbed, many years of his life wasted within the four walls of the prisons. Now he's been found that he was not actually anywhere connected to anything, and that it was a lie on him. He's back in the community. He sees the lady. This lady knows that this was false. This was a lie from the pit of hell. Now, it took Seth to try and organize some little money to help him to do a startup and to counsel him to focus on what he can do for himself rather than revenge for that woman.
But under the circumstances, doesn't the state do anything for this person by way of compensation?
Yes, if you are wrongly incarcerated, the Constitution makes an imposition that you ought to be giving a compensation for the time that, has been wasted. There are circumstances that all of those things can be triggered, and on some occasions they have been triggered, and people have received some handsome amount of money. There was this case that my good friend Francis Xavier Sosu did. The guy had been thrown in there for upwards of 12 years over some alleged murder issue. He was just not close to it one bit. After he was his name is Jerry, after he was released upon Francis studying his case and making a case before the court, he was compensated with quite a substantial amount to start his life. But you see, there's no money that can compensate for you being put under these conditions in our prisons.
Anything could have happened to him. I mean, he could have died.
I tell you.
Anything at all could have happened.
I tell you.
So what then happens to the wrongful accusation? The person who, this lady in question, for example, what happens to this lady?
Well, once they have done it, they have done it.
But wrongfully so,
yes.
No punishment?
Yes, you see, it will take you to take an action if you wanted to take an action in what we call in tort against them for what they may have done wrong to you. All of that too takes money to do. So some people, and our attitude in Ghana, Famanyami. Famanyami is very good, but there are circumstances where Famanyami is not cherished by God himself. It's not. So for people who have actually committed wrongs and offenses, we must not only name and shame them, but also get them, suffer the punishment that they deserve. But through the punishment, this is the issue, they must actually go through a process of reformation, change, so that when they return, we can embrace them. Today, as convicts, it's such a tag. We don't want to have anything to do with people. We don't want to get any close to them. The more we do that, we ostracize them, the more they get lonely and begin to think about joining their likes and forming gangs. And the next thing you know, you have the situation like we have recently seen in Nigeria, where you see these guys who have taken over communities, and not even the police can overpower them.
And
they are more powerful than the police.
And indeed, you and I know that many people have been convicted, they've come out, they've been reconvicted, so they keep going to and fro the prisons.
That's right.
Because of the way we treat them in our society.
That's right.
You know, CBG, your most trusted bank, is standing with you. All their branches are open and poised to serve you.
Have expired, but they are there. Innocent people, I mean, could be there. We are all potentially liable to the prisons one day. My question is, if I went to the prison today, how would I like it? I have just been to the prisons, physically visited and seen the circumstances. It's not my first time. It's not my second time. And as you're watching, Seth Kwame Boateng has done various of these documentaries bringing us the situations in the prison. Prisons that are supposed to contain a total, in Ghana, a total population of about 9,000 something, have in excess of 13,000. And people are sleeping rough. How do they eat? What is their sanitation situation? When they are sick, the prison officers, the prison administration is doing its very best. But we can all lend a helping hand. Not because one day we may be there, but because we want the prison to be truly what it should be, to reform and not to harden people when they return, and then we run away and shy away from them. They are fed on 1 cedi 80 pesos for the whole day per person. These are adults. Imagine yourself having to live on 1 cedi 80 pesos a day. Take a look at this. I'll be right back and ask you to join me as I go into the prisons this Christmas.
According to the United Nations Standard Minimum Rules for the Treatment of Prisoners, all countries have an obligation to observe certain basic human rights standards in their prisons. Standards regarding the conditions of detention must be observed regardless of a state party's level of development. The UN demands a minimum floor space and cubic content of air for each prison. Emmanuel Ajato says this amount is woefully inadequate. Until all these things are done, inmates will continue drinking watery porridge without sugar and either eat their famous gari, which goes with a kind of colored water mixed with palm oil, supposed to be palm nut soup, or banku, which goes with what I would describe as improvised granite soup.
So what you just saw is just a tip of the bigger policy.
The leader of this cell
an obligation to do right and not to do wrong things. It helps me to change. It helps me to reform in my thinking and so on. The health conditions also there. I've been to just about 2 weeks, 3 weeks ago, I was at the Kumasi Central Prisons and the officers are doing very well. They are creating a set of an infirmary around, but even their best efforts, and you see those who are sick, the place they were lying and receiving health treatment. It's not the best.
So it's not just about money. We can do other donations.
Yeah, so we are asking for toiletries. If you want to give us some soap, some whatever it is, if you want to get us food supplies, you know, they are all welcome. Just bring them here to the premises of Love and Ishra FM.
Please bring it here. And for those of you who are with us on Facebook, you can see for yourself the situation and the conditions under which you're sleeping. And the room is so hot. Some of them are using, what do you call it, metallic plates to fan themselves. Or they're using their bare hands to fan themselves just because they want to keep the temperature at the right, state. And it's not easy. when Samson says that any of us can find ourselves in the prison, don't take it lightly.
That's right.
We all know Akuetteh Polo. A common picture. Did I also say common? Okay, so a picture she took of herself and her son,
Right.
landed her in big trouble.
Yeah.
And she spent some time
Yeah, she has.
in prison. So she didn't think that a picture she was posting on social media could land her in trouble.
Because it was her picture, a picture of her child. I mean, that's my child. So what's up?
So she gets in there, she faces the same situation.
Yeah. And in fact, you see, she was charged under the Domestic Violence Act, the portion where the maximum prison term is 2 years and the fines are not much. If she had been charged under the new law, our Cyber Security Act, it would have been worse, because our Cyber Security Act prohibits you taking people's nudes and putting them on for as long as it's a publication. It must not be literally on social media, but any form of medium that you share it, particularly of children, even your own spouse. People are doing revenge pornography, revenge porn. I was with you, things have gone bad, we are separated, I have some pictures of you, you are nude, and they want to put them on. There are people who are actually using that to extort, they blackmail. They say, give me money, else I will show this, I will put this out, and so on and so forth. Under the new law that we have, the Cyber Security Act, you could go to jail for upwards of 10, 15 years. There are circumstances you could go beyond 20 years. And the law in those situations where you are actually acting foolish, because I don't see why you should be interested in showing somebody's nude out there, because you're actually foolish and stupid. Once you do that, you don't have the option of paying a fine. It's custodial. You do it even to your wife, to your partner who is known. You say, oh, that's my wife, so what? I'm sorry, you won't survive it.
And for those of you,
and there's no option of a fine. You go to jail.
For those of you who send these news pictures or agree to filming yourselves whilst in the act,
right,
especially when you're not married, even people who are married, divorced, anything can happen. And like Samson said, when that thing happens, when there's a break, the person wants to show you some true colors or show you some sense, and then they start publishing these things on social media.
And there are guys who have made it their business, and also ladies equally, who have made it their business to try and lure people to have intimacy with, and in the process, procure pictures or footage that all they want is the one-time act. Then subsequently they will now want to blackmail you, say bring this X amount. In fact, some people will continue for as long as they don't get satisfied with how much you're giving them. You have watched movies where some woman is being threatened, they are asking for huge sums of money just to go and give to a guy, some wicked guy, so that their marriage doesn't collapse. We now have a law. If you are this reckless, if you are this wicked, you could go to jail for 15, for 10 years, and even in certain situations for over 20 years, and there's no option for a fine for you.
And that is free legal advice for all of us. And I said from the very onset, from the very beginning, that listen, there's something happening in your life, you don't understand it. You want some lawyer to advise you, but you don't even have the fee, because some lawyers, when you even meet up with them and you want to engage with them, they would ask you to give something small before they even give you some advice. We're giving it to you for free here. That's what we're doing this morning, something.
Right, so a free legal clinic, but that is if you're okay, talking about your issue on radio.
So we'll be activating the phone lines in a bit. But something, you have spoken to us about nudity and what the law says and how long we can go to jail for and all that. Let's take a look again at some things that happened just before New Year, where prophecies are bundled about that you would die and you would do this and you would do that, and sometimes they cause fear and panic in some individuals. Is there anything that the law says about it? Some of the
so-called prophets, as we speak, are writing down the prophecies that they are going to give on 31st night. I was privileged to be invited by the IGP, myself and Asan Kuma. We went when he called the religious leaders together. We were the two who went to give them the education on what the law is and to be able to avoid getting into trouble with the law for some of these prophecies. So I think that advice, they should take it, and some should not look at it and say he's trying to stifle religious freedom. Oh, your freedom is not absolute. You know, there's a responsibility to the freedom that you enjoy. And our Criminal and Other Offences Act has provisions that we use to educate the religious leaders who met there that if you are not careful, particularly the charlatanic prophecies, you know, if you are indulging a prophecy, somebody perhaps is driving somewhere and you are on radio and you get to know about the person. Sometimes they know your name already. Some friend has told them about it. And when they are doing it for celebrities, quote unquote, so I'm mentioning, is it a Stone Boy or somebody, and I've got this, and this will happen to you, blah, blah, blah. The person may be driving at that moment and driving at speed and listening to you on the internet or radio.
Yeah.
It is possible that you can cause their death. You can cause them to panic. The law does not allow you to do that. You see, so once you do something that's capable of triggering fear and alarm, we all used to, like they say, panic. There's alarm. Fear and alarm.
Okay.
You could be caught by that law. And again, the law says if you do certain things, say words that I am likely, not that I have, but I am likely to apprehend fear of threats to my life, you can be guilty.
So when
of
I say
the offense of threats. That's a threat to my life. You know, so there's threat of harm and threat of death, and all of that are punished under our Criminal Offences Act.
So at this point in time, I'm going to be activating the phone lines,
That's
and
right.
we want to do two things, two simple things. First of all, you know the project that Samson has embarked upon.
Checking the Zoom. If
I hope so. I hope so. So first of all, we're doing two things. You call us. And you pass a comment or two about, you know, the project that Samson and his, you know, friends have embarked upon. The fact that they want to put smiles on the faces of inmates, prisoners, you know, and he's saying that, listen, send some small coins, some small change. And if you send 500, it's still a change for some people. If you send 2,000, it's still a change for some people.
Oh my God.
2,000 is still a change for some people.
That's right.
You know, so 059-303-8768. That's the number to send it to.
Please drop your change. You could change somebody in the prison.
Most definitely. 059-303-8768. That is the number. So just drop your change there, and God will bless you for doing that. Give us a call now on 03220-83596. The other leg of the conversation is we want to do a legal clinic.
Ask any league, anything legal you seek.
Anything at all. Anything at all.
Mm.
And Samson will give you a response to it right here, right now on Love 99.5. The number to call us on is 03220-83596. But don't forget to donate, all right? All right, so Christoph, good morning.
Yes, good morning, David Akuetteh.
How are you, sir?
Very well, yourself?
I am well as well. Thanks for asking.
Lawyer Samson Laddy Anyenini. I hope you are fine, sir.
That Christoph sounds like
that's
Nana
Christoph. That's Christoph.
Boite.
No, that's Christoph.
Sounds
that's
like
Christoph.
Nana Kwesi Boite.
No, that's
Okay,
Christoph.
okay.
Chris, go ahead.
But please, I want you to show David how to take time and speak. Why? The way you speak on your Saturday show is very awesome. Even when you are trying to introduce your topics on Saturday, the way you take the way, yeah, so David, tell your own kata.
Now, David, Monsieur Friend in China,
Crazy Christoph, go ahead.
All right, David, I think it's a good initiative by our brother. That we all have to support him. David, the prisons are becoming like hell for people. That place is supposed to be a transformational campaign, not to rather harden them. And so we have to all see to it that we help you. And then too, David, I think that the judiciary system, some of the cases, doesn't need people to be detained, but they are there. Some have to pay 200 cities for them to go. Some are punching those things shouldn't warrant detainment for longer years. I think they can strike it and then pay some fine and then let the fellow go. Before we do that, that would decongest our prisons and all that. But That notwithstanding, we will see what we can do. We support it with our letter that we have.
Thank you very much, Sam. Christoph, for accepting to help and support. 03220-83596. You can also send us your voice notes to 055-1111-995. Kwabna is next on the line. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Dave.
Welcome, sir.
Good morning to Samson as well.
Good morning, sir.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to reach out with us for the difficulties and problems with the law. My case is very simple. There is a land dispute, and both parties are in court, and we are with lawyers or the counsel's assistant as well. And I want to know that one party serve an interrogatory injunction application where they are supposed to be, permit me to say whether it's adjudication or something. We're supposed to meet and argue for or against the injunction. And one lawyer was present, the other one was not. And court proceedings went on, and the injunction was slapped on the other. On the land, so that no one can go there to do anything by way of getting advantage of the.
Is it both sides or one side that was injuncted?
It's adjudicated.
Is it both sides or one side that was injuncted?
If you can hear me, there's a question for you.
Lawyer failed to attend.
Okay.
Has the opportunity of bringing the matter back in court for a decision. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, I'd like to begin on the note that because this is a matter live in court and you have lawyers who are attending to it, it is unethical on my side to try to suggest that one lawyer is incompetent or that something must have gone wrong. Now, but what you're saying, generally what I can say is that when you file for an injunction, what you call the interlocutory injunction.
Samson can ask for a favor.
Right.
We have people on the line.
All right.
So please note the response down. So we'll put it all together and give it to them. So Kwabna, keep listening to Love 99.5. Your response will come your way shortly. And what we're doing now is that, listen, Samson is available with us. He's here in the studios of Love 99.5. He says, any question you have in terms of law, you want clarity, some litigation issues going on in your life, the way things are going, you don't understand it. He says he's here to give you free advice, free education. So give us a call on 03220-83596. Stephen Opoku, good morning and welcome.
Good morning, thank you. And first of all, I would like to say that a big thank you to Samson and the team who are embarking this act of kindness. Indeed, it appears we have neglected those who have been incarcerated, which is very unfortunate. So this idea, I think it will be remembered forever. Secondly, Samson must have to leave his number so that in the foreseeable future, we will call him personally and then speak to him for him to address the issues which are confronting us, which are part of our life. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Stephen Opoku. Ajekum, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
And let's hear you, sir.
Yeah, sir. Mine is an issue with land.
Okay.
I am a member of a family which owns. I have the oil palm and citrus plantation on the land. Currently, our local chief or family chief have sold out all that land to prospective land developers. And what right do I have for my plantation which has now been destroyed?
Okay, your answer is coming up. Thanks for joining us at Jakum. Next on the line, Stephen Wonder. Good morning.
Good morning, my brother.
And I know all your friends and your party supporters are all fine. So, Stephen, what's your contribution this morning?
My contribution this morning is I want to also advise and then encourage Ghanaians to turn their face to the prisoners because sometimes Ghanaians prefer to go to children's house than
insurance home
than prison office. But that is it is a good move. But when Jesus Christ was asking his disciples the question, He asked them that when he was naked, they didn't clothe him. When he was in prison, he didn't say when he was in children's hospital, children's house. You understand? But let us also put that place to be place for in order to, the problem is that most of them are dead just because of accusation. They are because of criminality or something like that have committed. But anyway, we consider all of them to be criminals. So I hope when we favor them, we favor God.
I hear you. Thanks, Stephen Wonder, for joining us. 03220-83596. Do you have any marital issues that you want clarity and some legal education or advice on? Or maybe you have some issues with your boss or some landlord or some land issues. Whatever concern you have, join us now on 03220-83596 and get some legal advice. Again, you need to support this project. And so send us your Momo to 059-303-8768. All right, just do that for us this morning. Bernard, good morning. Do you have Bernard on the line? Hello, Ben. Bernard. Do we have Bernard on the line? No. Okay, we don't have Bernard on the line. Bernard, apologies to you, we lost you. But we have David on the line. David, good morning and welcome, sir.
Good morning. How are you?
All is well, sir.
Samson, how are you?
I'm good. God's grace. Thank you.
Good. David, please pardon me to go off tangent. This goes to Samson. Samson, you were part of the committee that went around soliciting for views on this our constitutional review. What's become of that project?
Thank you. I was not part of it, but I'll answer that.
All right. So thanks, David, for joining us. Do we have Sledge next on the line? Hi, Sledge. Good morning.
Good morning, Dave.
Welcome, sir.
Thank you. How are you? Good morning, Samson.
Good morning.
Dave, we are going to support. What is happening? Why are they going to the prisons? Hello? Dave?
Yes, Sledge, go ahead. We're listening.
I wanted to find out when they are going to the prisons. When can we contribute?
Well, keep listening. We'll tell you when they are going to the prisons. But you contribute now. The contribution is the key thing. That's the most important bit of the conversation. The contribution. And of course, for those of you who want to donate some toiletries or items, clothing or whatever, you bring it to the premises of Love and Insure FM, and then we'll do the needful. All right. So thanks very much, Sledge, for joining us. Ken is also on the line now. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, David.
Let's hear you.
I hope you're well.
Yes, I am, sir. Thanks for asking.
David, some time ago, Samson used to host a program on Love FM, which has to do, I think it was court case or something like that.
Amakom Court.
Exactly. And I know he's now a busy person because of Newsfire and then other activities that he does. But if possible, a lot of people are having, law cases or law issues that are related to laws which are confronting us. And if possible, there should be somebody to take over that program again. That program should come again. You get me?
Yes, we've heard you. And
I'll invite you to tune into The Law on Joy News every Sunday, 2 p.m. I still donate my afternoon, an hour of my afternoon every Sunday to assist through some of these legal clinics, helping you to understand the law.
We're talking about Love FM. We're talking about Love FM here. So we'll try and create again.
I hear that.
All right, sir. Thanks. Let's speak to Malik, and he's our final caller. Good morning, Malik.
Good morning.
And welcome, sir.
Yeah. Good morning, Samson.
Good morning, sir.
Samson, I saw a video on Facebook that someone is being punished physically. And his crime is that he has insulted the local chief. Local chief, that's why he's being punished. And I want to know if a local chief has a right to punish any of his subjects if they insulted him or they commit a crime. Does any chief has a power to give judgment and punish the culprit? I want to know that.
Right.
All right. So Malik, thanks for joining us. And so you have about 3 or 4 questions you would have to respond to, and so let's run through them.
All right. So start with Malik. Malik, by our laws, no individual not even the police, not even a judge or court officials have a right to exercise punishment on a person who is suspected or has been convicted, even has been convicted of an offense or a crime. Please listen to that again. No individual, not even the president, has the power to punish anybody for the suspicion that they have committed an offense. The chief, one thing that I have found curious is that whilst insulting the president used to be a crime, and we abolished that law, or if you like, repeal that law, insulting a chief or doing acts that suggest that you are insulting a chief, conduct that suggests you are insulting a chief, is an offense. So insulting the president is not an offense, but insulting a chief or engage in conduct that suggests you are insulting a chief is an offense and can get you paying a fine or going to jail for I think it's 3 or 6 months. But it is a court that must administer the process of justice. No one can beat you or hurt you or do anything to you. That is almost like the instant injustice, what people call instant justice. It is wrong, it's unlawful, that is assault, that is battery, and those engaged in that act are committing an offense for which they
when it happens to an individual, what action should be taken? So
that individual, if they survive, thanks to God, they must lodge a complaint.
Okay.
If you are an individual and you arrest somebody, you can effect citizen's arrest. If somebody is committing an offense in your face, you can arrest that person, but the law says immediately you arrest that person, you hand them into the nearest police station or police officer immediately. You have no business trying to touch them or manhandle them in any way.
Okay.
So do that job as a citizen. Then David, you ask about the CRC, the Constitution Review Commission's work. Well, the Constitution Review Commission gave us the biggest socio-political data that this country has ever gathered about itself, about its governance and everything else. They gave us a lot of good proposals to transform our governance. For example, they said that if police arrested you, they should not have the right to keep you for 48 hours, as we have now, according to Article 14 of our Constitution. They should have the right to keep you only for 24 hours, because that is the standard elsewhere. Unfortunately, the government white paper said that no, we don't want police to hold you for only 24 hours, but we should keep it at 48 hours. They had all sorts of transformation. The Article 71 loot and fraud that these are people in politics and power have been committing on us and claiming that they care about us. There's supposed to be an emolument commission that will take care of their salaries and the rest of them, so that it doesn't become president determining the salaries of MPs and MPs determining the salaries of the president. You scratch my back, I scratch your back, and they dole to themselves millions and take ex gratia in addition to that for just doing 4 years. And if you do another 4 years, you take another ex gratia.
The cycle continues.
The teacher who is teaching us, how much does it take at the end of their service and for pension? But these have not been implemented because, let's be blunt about it, President Akuetteh, when he was in opposition, was preaching we need to overhaul the Constitution. Unfortunately, once he got into power, he doesn't talk about overhauling the Constitution again. And the NPP's elites, even though some of them had input, almost all of them had input, President Kufuor had input, all former Chief Justices and the rest of them had input, they didn't want the process to go on. So they were part of the reason the initial processes to seek to implement the Constitution Review recommendations has not happened.
Okay.
We spent a lot of money, millions of dollars. You have heard me speak about it before. Unfortunately, it is gathering dust. But it does appear recently, we have heard the president revive the talk about reviewing the Constitution. So maybe we should come together again and then add on to what we already had.
I wish you had ample time, but time is really running fast on us, because I'm wondering that if we do such works, how do we get it operational? Because, like you said, we spend money.
Yeah, so
if the people who matter are refusing,
we put pressure on them. They're political elites. Sometimes you don't understand. Ejekum. So I've answered Malik and David. Ejekum, you were talking about family land that's been sold by the family head, or you say family chief, family head, I think. We have a new law. Section 13 of that law simply repeats the injunction or the duty in Article 36, Clause 8 of the Constitution. That says that chiefs and family heads, whoever you are, who have been given some custodianship over land, you are only a trustee. You are only a trustee. So you are holding it in trust for the people who are the actual owners. If it's a family land, you are only holding it in trust for them. You have what is called the fiduciary obligations. Fiduciary means you are just taking care of the thing for everybody. Now the new law says they must account. They must account for how they use that property. Now, if there are traditional means by which they have to account, the law says you must trigger the traditional means. If you like, that's ADR sort of, alternative dispute resolution, and ask them to account for it. If they don't, then you have a right to go to court, and then the court will give you permission to take up a suit that will force that chief to account for how they have used the land. Then, Kwabena, you were talking about your interlocutory injunction that was granted against one without the other lawyer being present. Yeah. And I gave you a preamble to why I may not be able to make certain statements. But I need you to understand, when we are filing the process known as interlocutory injunction, we always file the process together with our arguments. So your lawyer filed it with the arguments, and the other lawyer also filed it with the argument. So in fact, for most judges, they don't even need any lawyer to come and stand there and say anything again. So it is possible for a judge to just look at the papers, because your arguments are all there in print, and to give a judgment as in a ruling as to why nobody should go to the land, or one side should not go to the land until the case is ended. And finally, Christophe, we were talking about non-custodial sentences for petty crimes. That is also very important. We need, as a nation, to pay attention to that. And there has been some discussion and policy that is being fashioned to assist our courts, so that we don't unnecessarily put people in jail. And thanks to Martin Pebu, who I gather is just joining us, but very late, our prisons would have been more crowded than they are now. He won the case that said that even murder is liable to bail. So there's no more an offense for which you'll be said that cannot be bailed.
Samson, I'm grateful to you. And this project you've embarked on is a very good one. You have my support. You have the support of all of us here. All of us here at Multimedia. And of course, all of us in the Ashanti region. Thank you very much. I know that you have other engagement, so I wish you well. But we'll be talking some more. We'll be talking some more.
My Momo.
Yes, the number is 059-303-8767. That's the Momo number.
Thank you.
Support Samson. Support all of us. Let's put smiles on the faces of inmates in all the prisons in the country. 059-303-8768. And it's not just about cash.
Right.
It could be that you're listening to us. You sell, some clothing. You sell some toiletries. You sell anything at all. Even rice, oil, anything, bring it.
Water.
Medicine in row. Because some of them are sick in there. You heard something talk about the infirmary and all that. Let's support. Let's do this, and we'll be blessed. Something once again, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Merchant name, Multimedia Group, Joy Easter Soup Kitchen. And the Momo number is 059-303-8768. I take it again, 059-303-8768. And as we talk, I want you to try save your change for us for the purposes of changing the prisons.
I like the way you put it. And presently, listen, join us on Facebook.
Right.
Get to appreciate the conditions under which these inmates, these prisoners.
You're playing those videos?
No, it's to your right. Check to your right. Check to your right.
Oh, I see.
So join us on Facebook right now. Get to see things for yourself, and you appreciate the situation under which some of these inmates find themselves. And the unfortunate thing is that something will tell you later that some of them in there are innocent people.
That's right.
Some of them in there are just there on remands, and their remand warrants has expired.
That's right.
And they're still in there. Doing what?
Yeah.
And yet we say we have laws in this country?
Yeah.
But let's take it from the top, Samson.
Right. So, like you said earlier, I think these are situations that we all know. And when Jesus Christ said that he was in the prisons and we didn't visit him, this is part of what he meant. You see, our Constitution in Article 19 says that we are all innocent, even when we have been suspected and accused of any crime, until we have admitted ourselves that we're guilty, or a court of competent jurisdiction, not a radio station, and not a group of people sitting somewhere saying once somebody is guilty, or a police officer saying you're guilty. No. Until you yourself have admitted to your guilt, or you have, the court has found you guilty. And all this must happen in the courtroom. Now, once you're arrested, you become a potential jail person. In fact, even whilst you are not arrested, the potential that you could be a candidate for the prisons is there. And don't get me wrong, because it may not take you committing a crime. You say, I am not involved in any crime. So what do you mean by all of us are potential people who might find ourselves in jail? Okay, so you may commit a traffic offense, and it can be unintentional. In fact, traffic offenses are not intentional. You don't plan to hit and kill someone. Of course, they may be, one out of whatever, for whatever reason.
Maybe you just want to jump a red light because you're in a hurry, and unfortunately somebody is crossing.
Exactly.
And then bang.
And that is also committing a crime, so to speak. It's an offense. We're in COVID. The COVID rules by the present EI 223 say that we should continue to wear our mask everywhere we are. The fact that it is not being enforced in the manner we expect doesn't mean that you may not be found guilty. You may not be caught. So you could be caught, and guess what? If you are caught, for example, for just not wearing a mask, I said just, well, it can save your life. So it's important. For not wearing a mask, if you're found guilty, the minimum fine you have to pay is 12,000 Ghana cedis, and the maximum is 60,000 Ghana cedis. So between 12 to 60,000, that's how much you're going to pay. There are people who can't afford that much. They can't even afford 1,000 cedis, 500 cedis. Sincerely, they can't. If you call on their families, they will not get that money. Now, if they default in paying, they could go to jail for between 5 to 10 years. Why should somebody languish in jail because of that? Of course, it's a public health issue. Well, they haven't really committed a crime, so to speak, but they find themselves there. So these are some of the circumstances that one could find themselves in. And again, you could simply be accused of an offense. You are a suspect. You are presented before a court. The process is slow. So you plead not guilty, and the court doesn't think you deserve bail. And then you are put on remand. Sometimes people forget to go for the people who have been put on remand, so they appear in court the next time.
How does that happen? How do you forget?
And they forget that forever.
How do they forget?
I don't know how it happens. So we are hoping that we could build a database in a way that it is easy to track these situations, so that those who need help, because some of them, they are taken to court, immediately they are arrested, and they are not even told what is known as their Miranda rights. The fact that they have a right to a lawyer, they have a right to be silent, and that anything they say will be used against them, and a lawyer of their own choosing. Sometimes they want to even hold their phone or make a call, and some ignorant police officer, excuse me to say, says you can't use your phone. In fact, they may seize your phone.
But you have a right to make a call.
Exactly.
When you are arrested.
Unless the phone is evidence of a crime you are suspected of committing, a police officer has no right tampering with your phone and collecting it from you.
Another free education.
So these things happen, and people are sent to court. They have no representation. There's nobody by them. And they don't even know what to say, because our court environment can be intimidating. And sometimes they are going, and some police officer is telling them, when you get there, you know what, to make things very simple for you, tell the court you are guilty.
Plead guilty.
Yes. We have many of these cases that we have gone to court and overturned. Say you are guilty. And they go say, if you don't say you are guilty, you are in trouble. The judge will deal with you. But why? And they go.
And this happens without you having a representation, right?
Exactly. And all these things happen. So you have people in the prisons who shouldn't be there. You have people in the prisons who are actually innocent. There's a story of somebody that Seth and myself were discussing, and you know Seth Kamboating has gone to the prisons many times.
And talk about him having been there many times.
Yeah.
One of the documentaries he's worked on is what we're showing you on Facebook right now. You can find us on LUV 99.5 FM.
People will be familiar with Locked and Forgotten.
Most definitely.
After Seth did that story, it led to a lot of improvement in the prisons. Justice Georgia Wood, then the Chief Justice, together with the prisons boss at the time, the police, and several other stakeholders came together. They actually showed the documentary in front of judges to watch and to understand why sometimes these small petty offenses, somebody little squabble and fight in the home, leads to something, and then people are brought. There's no point putting them, in jail. There's no point remanding them, and so on and so forth. Where a fine can do, they should give fines, but sometimes custodial sentences, and they go and languish.
And if I may, just let me just announce the Momo number again,
right?
Because we're here to get the support of many,
right?
And so the Momo number is 059 303 8768.
That's right.
059 303 8768. Samson says we
the
should follow
merchant's
him.
name is Multimedia Group,
the Easter Soup Kitchen.
Easter Soup Kitchen.
And
Joy Easter Soup Kitchen.
Samson says we should follow him to the prison. I mean, that's literally speaking.
That's
we're not
right.
following him, working with him in there.
But your donation,
with your money, your donation is going to help us, and you'll be hearing much more from us.
That's right.
Stay with us on Facebook and drop comments. And if you support this project that Samson and his friend like Martin Kpebu have embarked on, let's all do this together. See how people have been put together, and that's how the condition that they sleep.
So you see this set of guys, they call them pickup.
All right, so go check out the pickup people.
Okay. So the pickup is to say that they are sitting throughout the night because there's no space, they can't sleep, and they are sitting packed by each other. You can't even turn. That's pickup. And there are the other ones that you see them sleeping flat and they can't turn. That's a sardine. That's what goes on there. Look, we are not saying that there are not people in prison who don't deserve to be there. There's some people who are very wicked. There are people that a lot has not changed them, and they are in prison. They ought to be there. But David, the part of the punishment for your crime, getting you to starve is not part of it. Starving you, being in insanitary conditions, not getting soap to wash, taking 1 cedi, 80 pesos a day, adults, 1 cedi, 80 pesos a day. It's not part of it. Now, you see as they show, you see the soup. It's not soup.
So, Joel, let's go back to okay, so that's it. That's it. This is how they feed.
Yes.
And you're saying that per each person,
yes,
the whole day,
yes,
they're supposed to be
that's the rate.
fed under 1 cedi, 80 pesos. Now, one big bottle of water.
Big bottle.
One bottle outside. It's like 2 cedis, 3 cedis.
That's right.
And this one, is less than what they are supposed to feed on a day.
So they are surviving on magic.
Wow.
Okay, of course they do bits of farming and the rest of them.
3 cedis, 4 cedis, even some people say 5 cedis.
The prisons where they can afford, where there's land, and few people also find time to assist once in a while. So you see the soup. That's the point. That's the soup. You see that it's a whole container full of water, and they get a